Welcome to the Midnight Horror Club. My name is Dina Anderson, and on this channel we talk all things horror, crime, conspiracy theories, and scary stories. If that's something you're interested in, then please subscribe and let's get started. Welcome to another video. Today is Sleepover Saturday, which means snacks and scary stories. Today, my snacks are very simple. It's popcorn, sparkling water, and a Coca-Cola, because I'm obsessed. Okay, I'm just gonna make myself a drink, and when I say make myself a drink, I mean open the can. Ow! Oh, the fizz. Okay, a few popcorn, and then we're gonna get started. So grab yourself a snack, a blanket, and a drink, and let's get started with story number 1. One evening, I was heading home and felt relieved that I managed to catch the last tube. The train was mostly empty, except for 3 people sitting in the far end. Feeling a bit uneasy about being alone late at night, I decided to move closer to them. I was sat opposite the 3 strangers, 2 men and a woman. The woman was staring at me. It made me really uncomfortable, so I took out my book and started reading, like I always do, hoping to distract myself. However, whenever I looked up, she was still fixated on me. The situation was eerie, but I tried to focus on my book. At the next station, a man boarded the train, glancing around as if trying to decide where to sit. He eventually chose the seat next to me, which I found odd considering the train was almost empty. But maybe he was like me and felt safer near others. As the train started leaving the station, the man leaned closer and whispered, "If you know what's good for you, you'll get off the next station with me." I froze, gripped by terror. Why would he say something like that? Normally, such a remark from a man would come across as either flirting or threatening, but there was an instinct in me that made me trust him. When the next stop arrived, I decided to follow the man's advice and leave the train with him. He looked at me with a mix of fear and relief, explaining, "I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that train. I'm a doctor, and that woman sitting across from you was dead, and the 2 men beside her were holding her up." Many years ago, I went on a road trip with my best friend. We had been on the road for a few weeks, and we were finally gonna stay in a hotel instead of a dusty bed and breakfast. The hotel was old and Victorian. It was kind of creepy, but in a cozy way. And of course, it was in the middle of nowhere. We started talking to the receptionist, who told us that room 201 was haunted and that she could give us a tour later if we wanted. We're both into horror movies and ghosts, so we said yes. Later that night, we got a tour of the room. It was dark, old, and smelled like what you'd expect. The receptionist told us that multiple people had died in there, and some of them were even killed. And not only were they killed, it was also unsolved. Apparently, the door was locked from the inside, which made it even weirder. We laughed and thought it was entertaining. To be honest, we didn't really believe her. It wasn't until later that night, when we got back to our hotel room, that weird stuff happened. We both went to sleep, and about 3 a.m. I got woken up. I opened my eyes, and my friend was standing right in front of my bed. She was talking at me in a deep voice. It almost sounded like a man. I was still very sleepy at this point, but awake enough to be creeped out. I called out her name, and she said, "Sorry I woke you. I had to pee." But the sound didn't come from her mouth. It came from the bathroom. I looked at the person in front of me, and she was smiling. I jumped and turned on the lights, and no one was there. My friend came out of the bathroom, and we packed our stuff and stayed at a motel that night. I will never forget that creepy smile. When I first started working on cruise ships, I was warned that some vessels were more haunted than others. It was speculated that this was due to former guests or crew members who passed away while on board. One of the larger ships I worked on had 2 decks dedicated to the kids club, which was where I worked. As children would start getting picked up by their families, we would begin to close different sections, and fewer staff members would be required to stay behind. On the night that I was scheduled to leave last, I was working on the lower deck of the children's area. All the kids in the upstairs section had been picked up, so my co-worker closed all the rooms, locked the main entrance doors, and turned off all the lights before leaving for the night. However, about 30 minutes later, I heard footsteps coming from above. The only thing above me was the kids' facilities, which had already been closed. I thought it was odd, but figured maybe a staff member had returned to get something. I kept hearing footsteps coming from upstairs, so I went up to check, but no one was there. Every room was still locked and all lights were off. I told some friends later on, and they said multiple staff members had similar encounters in the same area. At that point, it was just known amongst everyone that there was a ghost who lived there. The creepiest occurrence was when the ship's security team called a staff member in the kids center to ask why there was a child left unattended late one night, as they saw a kid on the live security footage, alone without supervision. The entire area had already been closed for the night, but was checked again due to the phone call, and it was the same scene. All the lights off, every door locked, and no children to be found. I would say the first one was definitely my favorite story. What do you guys think? Which story did you like best? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know which snacks are your favorite for Sleepover Saturday. Also, I'm thinking of doing more stories because I feel like 3 is not enough, so I'm considering doing 5, but we'll see. So next video will be 5. Also, I just want to say that I am working on a crime video and a conspiracy theory video, but it takes so much research, and when you have a job and, you know, life gets in the way, yeah, it just takes time. So it will come. Don't you worry. Alright, that is it for this video, so thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time in the Midnight Horror Club.